ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वाकता कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि वितनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest, verses 81 and 82. Deva Uvacha Naivam Vidamo Bhagavan Pranarodam Chara Asya Akila Satvadamna Videhi Tano Vrijinat Vimuksham Praptavyayam Tvam Sharanyam. Synonyms: Deva Vacha, all the demigods said. Now, not evam, thus, Vidama, we can understand. Bhagavan, O personality of Godhead. Prana Rodham, how we feel our breathing choked. Chara, moving. Acharasya, not moving. Akhila, universal. Sattva, existence. Dhamna, the reservoir of. Videhi, kindly do the needful. Tat, therefore. Na, our Vrijnath, from the danger. Vimoksham, liberation. Prapta, approaching. Vayam, all of us. Tvam, unto you. Sharanam, shelter. Sharanyam, worthy to be taken shelter of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refugee of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all the living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. Purport: Dhruva Maharaj's influence attained by the executing devotional service unto the Lord was felt even by the demigods who had never before experienced such a situation. Because of Dhruva Maharaj's controlling his breathing, the entire universal breathing process was choked. It is by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that material entities cannot breathe, whereas spiritual entities are able to breathe. Material entities are products of the Lord's external energy, whereas spiritual entities are products of the Lord's internal energy. The demigods approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of both kinds of entities, in order to know why their breathing was choked. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution to all problems within this material world. In the spiritual world, there are no problems, but the material world is always problematic. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of both the material and spiritual worlds, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. Therefore, those who are devotees have no problems in this material world. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate from Chaitanya Chandramrita. Devotees are free from all problems because they are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a devotee, everything in the world is very pleasing because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Verses 82. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Ma Baishtabalam Tapaso Duratyayan Nivartya Isye Nivartya Isye Pratiyata Swadama Dama Yato Hiva Pran Niroda Asit Autanapadirmayi Sangatatma. Synonyms: Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, Ma Bhaista, do not be afraid. Balam, the boy Dhruva, Tapasa, by severe austerity. Duratyatat, Duratyayat, strongly determined. Nivarta Isye, I shall ask him to stop this. Pratiyata, you can return. Swadhama, your own respective homes, Yata, from whom he certainly was your prana nirodha, choking the life air, as it happened. Uttanapadi, on account of the son of King Uttanapada. Mai unto me, Sangata Atma, fully absorbed in thought of me. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, My dear demigods, do not be perturbed by this. It is due to the severe austerity and full determination of the son of King Uttanapada, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me. He has obstructed the universal breathing process. You can safely return to your respective homes. I shall stop this boy in the severe acts of austerities, and you will be saved from this situation. Purport. Here, one word, Sangat Atma, is misinterpreted by the Mayavati philosophers, who say that the self of Dhruva Maharaj became one with the Supreme Self, thus personality of Godhead. The Mayavati philosophers want to prove by this word that the supersoul and the individual soul become united in this way, and that after such unification, the individual soul has no separate existence. But here it is clearly said by the Supreme Lord that Dhruva Maharaj was so absorbed in meditation on the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he himself, the universal consciousness, was attracted to Dhruva. In order to please the demigods, he wanted to go himself to Dhruva Maharaj to stop him from this severe austerity. The Mayavati philosophers' conclusion that the supersoul and the individual soul became united is not supported by this statement. Rather, the supersoul, the personality of Godhead, wanted to stop Dhruva Maharaj from this severe austerity. By pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one pleases everyone, just as by watering the root of a tree, one satisfies every branch, twig, and leaf of the tree. If one can attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one naturally attracts the whole universe because Krishna is the supreme cause of the universe. All the demigods were afraid of being totally, totally vanquished by suffocation. But the personality of Godhead assured them that Dhruva Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord and was not about to annihilate everyone in the universe. A devotee is never envious of other living entities. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fourth canto, eighth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruva Maharaj Leaves Home for the Forest. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते रोमपदस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I humbly bow down and seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself, and please forgive me for any shortcomings or misinterpretations. So, I could not get the exact class, but I'm summarizing these verses from previous Rumpad Swami lectures and also from Srila Prabhupada purport. So, we have been discussing this chapter, and finally, we are in the final verses. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Uh, in these two verses, the first 81, the verse 81 says finally the effects of Dhruva Maharaj meditation. So far, Dhruva Maharaj has meditated as per the instructions of Narada Muni, performed the Ashtanga Yoga, attained Ashtasiddhi, and finally controlled his breathing process. He closed all the outlet of doors and captured Supreme Lord within his heart, and constantly remembered Supreme Lord. So, after performing such a great austerity, sadhana bhakti, and because of that mystic power, all the three worlds started trembling, and demigods inhabitants of different planets suffered with the suffocation in the process of breathing. Such a great influence on everybody on Dhruva Maharajas in meditation. So, after seeing such disturbance, all the demigods are not able to understand the cause of the disturbance. So, as usual, whenever there's a problem or disturbance, they approach Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, here also, in this text 81, they approached the Supreme uh, God. Of course, sometimes they approach Brahma, and Brahma in terms approaches Supreme Lord, but technically they went there. So here in this verse, they started questioning the prayer, dear Lord, you are the refuge of all the moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating. Their breathing process choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. So in general, in our life or in the materialistic life also, we will see a lot of problems. So here also, they know that Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of all causes. So we know that Supreme Lord is the Sarva Karana Karanam. There is nothing which cannot be resolved by Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the reason in the verse it is calling out Chara Chara Asya Akila Sattva Dhamna. For every problem, solution is Krishna. In the spiritual world, there is no problem in one context, but we see problems in the material world itself. So that all the demigods approached spiritual Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. Similarly, in our life, devotees also see any problems in the material world because uh, it's a material world. Dukkalayam ashashvatam. And as long as we are fully engaged in Krishna service, everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to ourselves or nothing belongs to mine, me, mine, nothing. Then all our situations will be taken care by Krishna when we have full form faith. Ultimately, if there is a problem, that problem falls in one of the categories. We all know that one Adi Bhautika, two Adhyatmika, and three Adi Daivika. What one of the situation we will feel, I mean, like other than that, uh, when we fully have form faith and when we fully surrender unto Krishna, there will not be any up and downs in our life as well. But as Mataji said, when we take the full form faith on this holy name, definitely there will be a lot of happiness and no distress at all. But why this is happening? The root cause of the problem is separating from Krishna. Technically, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and our constitutional duty is serving Krishna. That is our basic duty. And if we do anything other than that, that leads to problem. For example, a fish is happy in the water, and if we take that fish from water and give all the appliances like nice home, food, etc., but still the fish is not happy because the fish wants to stay in water. That's her constitutional position. Similarly, living entity is also happy by serving Krishna. This is because that is our original duty, original constitutional position. Jivera Swarupahaya, Krishnera Nityadasa. It is a living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna because he is the marginal energy of Krishna. But now, the soul in the material world suffering within our body because we are away from our constitutional position. So that's the reason we are facing all these miseries in this world. But devotees understand this principle, and from the platform of material world, they surrender on Krishna and dedicate their lives, their energy, their activities, their words, and everything so that they won't face any problems. And ultimately, they develop the tolerance, even if there are any small such problems. And since they have the strong faith in Krishna, that can be resolved because we realize that everything is temporary. Similarly, another example. Every day we drive car. If the car has a strong shock absorber, even though there is a rough path, the passengers won't feel any disturbance because the strong shock absorbers helps the passengers to overcome that up and down. Similarly, when we have the strong sadhana bhakti, we won't feel any disturbance in our life in this world. Most of the problems are fear of something. If what happens if I lose this one, what happens if that happens, though I will be in some bad situation. This type of things, the mind will get those thoughts, and that's the reason we are facing. But as long as we realize that nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to Lord, then why we need to worry? This losing and gaining is temporary. This is the fundamental we need to understand. And from this, the 81 words, the summary is that uh, they know, the demigods know that disturbance and approach to Krishna to save them from the greatest danger. Similarly, when we surrender unto the Krishna with firm faith, and when we have the strong sadhana, but in our practice, sadhana, bhakti, devotional service, then there will not be any problem. So we can stay happily because we are in the constitutional. Technically, we are in the constitutional position. And coming to the final verse of this chapter, Krishna replies to the demigods, "You return to your respective homes. This disturbance happened because Dhruva Maharaj, son of King Uttanapada, who is fully absorbed in thought of me. Because of him, your breath has been stopped, and I shall stop this boy in his severe acts of austerities, and you will be saved from this situation." That's what Krishna replied to demigods. So here in the purport, Prabhupada says clearly that with the word Sangat Atma, this word is misinterpreted by the Mayavati philosophers. Mayavatis think that Sangat Atma means merging with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One will merge into Supreme Personality of Godhead and become the God. That is not the correct statement at all. That is not our philosophy. Here, Lord says that I will stop that boy to perform further austerities and release from meditation. That way, you will be freed. Krishna never said that he will become me and merge in super soul. So in that way, the Mathis philosophers, they are misinterpreting this word. The soul and super soul will merge and they will unite. That is Advaita philosophy. We are not Advaita. And in Advaita, the Paramatma Atma becomes united, which is incorrect. So that's the reason in our Vaishnavism, our acharyas clearly explained about our philosophy and our constitutional duty. So every soul has an individuality. Even merging with the soul, even merging the soul with Brahma Jyoti is also temporary because soul cannot be ideal and come back to material world again. Here in one of the class, Prabhupada uses example that butterfly turns into green color to escape from his enemy into the branches of the trees. That doesn't mean that butterfly converted as a tree. Just it's a temporary situation. It changed to overcome the situation. That's it. So in that scenario, Krishna also says that by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. One of the words in Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktam murtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham tesha vastita. So our philosophy is different than Advaita. That is what Prabhupada was explaining the purport very clearly. So ultimately, the summary is that we need to please Krishna. So by pleasing, that's our constitutional position and our duty. By pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one pleases everyone, just as by watering the root of a tree, one satisfies every branch, twig, and leaf of the tree. If one can attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one naturally attracts the whole universe because Krishna is the supreme cause of the universe. So, Yeah, that is the summary from this verse 18. So we have completed the chapter 8 from these verses. So I will stop here. Thank you again for opportunity for my purification. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Vancha kalpataru